to come and receive the presentation from PRASA's strat plan and APP. Madam Minister, I know that you have been hard at work, but it is important as the leadership to use this entity accounts that and the priorities that you have outlined within the broader 7 priorities that the government is pursuing, and also well captured under the medium-term strategic framework. We are interested to see as to whether there is a program to create jobs from PRASA's capital program. We are also mindful of the fact that PRASA as an entity falling under the broader public transport remains a key priority in terms of ensuring that it make the transport infrastructure competitive and also attractive for investment. Therefore, we'll be looking with keen interest in terms of paying attention to the PRASA's infrastructure development as an important key to the contributor to economic growth. So therefore, it is important that we also acknowledge the team from the administration that is part of us and the stakeholders, including the media. Or those two words, let me just check as to whether are there any apologies that we have received from the committee secretary.
Thank you. The only apology that we have received from the DG of the department, who is chairing the meeting with the Treasury. From the member side, we haven't received anything. I just recall that Mr. Tang hopefully will join.
Okay, thanks. We then will invite the Minister of Transport, Honorable Mbalula, to give an overview or remarks, and then from there hand over to PRASA. Honorable Minister, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Chairperson of the Select Committee on Transport, Public Service and Administration, Public Works and Infrastructure, Mr. Kenny Mwema, and honorable members of the Select Committee. We are pleased that the Select Committee has afforded us this opportunity to present to PRASA to present a plan and a turnaround since we initiated our intervention, aimed at placing PRASA on a stable footing. It has never been our intention, it will never be our intention to define the intervention as a permanent feature. It is made precisely to turn things around. We all know that PRASA have encountered a number of challenges. Challenges from not only poor but dismal governance over a period of over a decade. And maladministration, malfeasance, and all of that have characterized what PRASA has become. It is definitely a broken place and not a normal situation. If it was normal, we would have treated it differently. But we have had to take drastic steps because PRASA had become a bottomless pit where those who want to perpetuate their activities of running down that place continued unabated. We have had to take these drastic measures to ensure, as we characterized from the beginning, we want to bring about stability at PRASA, stability for governance, and stability to ensuring that PRASA fulfills its mandate over a period of time. The brief is against the backdrop of the COVID-19 pandemic, which has had a disruptive effect as the country had to go through a lockdown. This disruptive effect has also forced us to contemplate a new way of doing things, which will undoubtedly become a new normal into the future. The impact of COVID-19 has devastating impact on the transport sector. This impact has been worse for PRASA as it continues to lose millions in revenue, which has been on a downward slide even before the pandemic. The task of tackling these intractable challenges is daunting and faces opposition from many fronts. Now, those who have been beneficiaries of the malfeasance continue to resist our interventions. And those who have been declared by the Auditor General as people who have received irregular benefit from PRASA must be set aside, have also put up a big fight at PRASA through the courts and so on. And because of its weakness over time, these individuals have had a free ride before the arrival of the administrator. And some of these manifestations, you have seen them yourselves, with the collapse of security companies which have been irregularly appointed, and criminal activities. Our resolve to fix PRASA and turn it into a well-oiled machinery able to deliver a passenger rail system that serves as a backbone of our public transport system has never been greater. The days of PRASA being a cash cow for the corrupt are over. We made a decisive intervention when we assigned Mr. Mpondo, the administrator, to of the law. We've also begun with the process to recruit a new board that will hit the ground running at the end of the tenure of the administrator, and if so, even before. It has never been our intention to have PRASA being run the way it is at the present moment. We defined this at the DOT as a measure of intervention, which is defined within a period of time. Nonetheless, there are people who believe that we're perpetuating the old. We don't believe so, because if we wanted to go with PRASA with business as usual, We could have appointed another board and another board on top of another board. We could have done that. It has happened in the past. 4 to 5 boards in 1 year. What did it happen? Nothing. The minister fought with the board took the minister to court, and then things fall apart. Millions went down the drain. Governance came to zilch. That's what happened. Mr. Mpondo's task, ability, and lay the basis for the work that needs to be done going forward. We will do our job, which we have begun to do, of appointing a new board and advertise, and it is going to be a different ball game altogether. It's not just going to be a CV in the box, shortlisted, a DOT, the minister appoint and cabinet endorse. We want skilled people at PRASA who know the rail network, but who at the same time could account in terms of their credentials. And we want to interview these people for the first time and to take them through and make it a point that we understand them and where they come from. But our shareholder agreement will be totally different when it comes to PRASA. Government is pumping billions and billions of rands in that entity, such that money at the hands of individuals to be managed and to have proper corporate governance cannot be beginning of level 3. The time to see through this process. We are under no illusion about the critical role PRASA plays in moving millions of our people across the country. We are having confidence in the plans we have put in place, but in themselves, those plans are not insurmountable, and they are not plans that cannot be questioned by anybody. In the short space of time, since we put Mr. Mpondo into office at PRASA, he has moved with lightning speed to make decisive interventions, to stabilize operations and build requisite capacity. He has met a lot of opposition, and in our book of books, we understand why it has to be like that. A change will not come easily. And in the past week, he has announced the appointment of key executives who will be instrumental in stabilizing operations. The caliber of these executives give us the confidence to proclaim that we are truly on the right path. The appointment of Ms. Nozipho Damasan as the CEO of PRASA Rail, Mr. Hisham Imran as the CEO of PRASA Technical, and Mr. Neil Rush as the CEO of Autopex will go a long way in ensuring long-term sustainability of intervention being implemented. We must congratulate him for a job well done thus far in ensuring that he undermines corruption. He moves with speed on a number of areas. Chief among the issues he has actually begun to implement in the turnaround include entrenching governance and good ethics within PRASA management by starting with himself, ensuring that they are subjected to overdrive of auditing and lifestyle audit, all of them, because that has never happened at PRASA. He also brought a team whose experience, qualifications, and stature builds confidence in all of us. And we are happy that part of the members of this team include men and women of caliber who come also from the treasury of our country, which they brought to us, the chief procurement officer of treasury, to work with Mr. Mpondo in PRASA to ensure that systems are clear and we are able to navigate this space with a clear conscience and a clear mind to safeguard the resources of our people. We're pleased that administrator has effectively incorporated into the daily focus the 5 key priorities we have identified, which is recovery of the service, safety and security, capital program and modernization, governance, and revenue enhancement. When we appointed Mr. Mpondo following perpetual challenges and erosion of shareholder value with PRASA, most importantly, the appointment was to ensure quick decision-making and to ensure stability to the business, whilst designing a sustainable growth path for PRASA. And I wish to thank the President and the Cabinet for agreeing to this, that we embark on this particular path, and those who are supposed to act with me in government also supporting us in our endeavor to turn around PRASA, because it cannot be business as usual as it was before. While progress has been registered bit by bit in a number of areas, many challenges remain. The state of finances at PRASA remain a source of serious concern. Over the last decade, PRASA has experienced a steady and sharp decline in fair revenue, which has necessitated an increase in the operating subsidy. This is an important focus area. The Honorable President pronounced in his State of the Nation address that PRASA will focus on recovering the 2 corridors, which you all know, ladies and gentlemen, honorable members, which is Mabopane, Tshwane Central Line. Tshwane and the Central Line in Cape Town. You will know that in Cape Town, with the Cape Town government and the local government in Cape Town, I've rolled up my sleeves, working very hard with them to recapture that, and they were interrupted by COVID-19. I've received overwhelming support from Cape Town and the provincial government to recover that line of the Central Line, which you will find at the present moment that people have built on top of that. I've also enlisted the services of Public Works, Minister Delay, who have also come on board. PCC
Honorable Minister, it looks like we have lost the Honorable Minister. Are we sure? Can the administrator try to help the minister to reconnect again? We have lost the Honorable Minister. Let's just wait for him to come back again. And Mr. Mpondo, how many board members are accompanying you while you are waiting for the minister to come?
Chair, it's not board members, but it's part of my executive team.
Oh, part of the executive team. Okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
There are 4. The acting chief financial officer, Mr. Krish Govender, the acting CEO of PRASA Rail, Mr. Zolaki Mayaba, the former acting but now appointed CEO of PRASA Technical, Mr. Hisham Emran, and the acting CEO of PRASA CRES, Ms. Annette Lindiki.
Thanks, Mr. Mpondo. Do we have the DM here with us?
Good afternoon, Chairperson. I'm around.
Oh, how are you?
Can't complain. And how are you?
Good. What do we do now because the minister has lost us?
He's back.
I'm back.
Okay.
But maybe Maybe the minister must switch off the video.
Right, Honorable Minister.
No, I'm back, Chair. Can I conclude?
Yes.
Thank you, Chairperson. To this end, 1.1 billion rand has been reinforced for the central line and 1 billion has been reinforced for Mabopane. As you are aware, PRASA terminated all services during the lockdown period level 5 and 4 in line with the regulations. As a consequence, PRASA suffered a revenue loss estimated at 199 million, resulting in further cash constraints on already strained financial situation. The estimated revenue loss for the year at this stage is 757 million. The dire state of finances at PRASA is further worsened by the shortfall in its operating capital. This is a consequence of a history of deficit budgeting over the years. Over the MTF period, PRASA has a budget shortfall of 4.7 billion. We continue to work with the National Treasury to find a sustainable solution to this challenge. Whereas there is a turnaround, there is equally a challenge of operation expenditure shortfall within PRASA, which the administrator and the team at PRASA has been faced with, and we seek to address this by ensuring that the capital expenditure, part of it, is able to be utilized to address this shortfall. Mr. Mpondo will account for all of that in terms of his presentation. I must express my appreciation for the tremendous support the National Treasury continues to give us in ensuring that our intervention in turning around PRASA succeed. The secondment of the National Treasury's Acting Chief Procurement Officer, Mr. Willie Matebula, will go a long way in stabilizing PRASA's supply chain management processes and putting up systems to ensure that PRASA does not become a bottomless pit for the corrupt and those who want to use PRASA to fulfill their own selfish, corrupt interest. I wish to thank you, Chair, and honorable members. And on that particular note, I was going to explain to you that I'm with the Deputy Minister and that the Director General, Mr. Alec Muyemi, is not with us. He's at Treasury to finalize some of the issues that relate to, among others, to PRASA, but at the same time to our reprioritized budget, which has been largely affected by COVID-19. So here I'm with the DM and members of our office staff, which I will not introduce. Thank you very much for the opportunity. Thank you, Chairperson.
Thank you, Minister, for laying the foundation for Mr. Mpondo to take stage. Over to you, Mr. Mpondo. Mr. Mpondo.
Yes, Chair.
Yeah, you can take the center stage now.
Thank you. I'd just like to confirm that the presentation is visible.
It is.
Great. Thank you, Chairperson. Let me take the opportunity to greet the self-chair as well as the committee. And also to greet the Minister and the Deputy Minister and the officials from the Department of Transport and my colleagues. I do have a fairly lengthy presentation, Chair, but I will try and touch on, what I think would be the salient issues.
That would be great.
Yes. So let me then start share. Okay, so in terms of the outline of my submission this evening, I would like to take you through the corporate plan or the annual performance plan, the elements thereof. I will then turn to the mandate that have been provided by the minister, and then also, look at the key actions taken to date. The structure of those in terms of the duration, 3 months and 6 months. I'll then touch on the corridor recovery program on the central lines and Mabopane line, as the minister has indicated. And then as we begin to move to the end, I'll just talk about COVID-19 and the impact, and briefly just on our readiness. And then I'll end off with our capital program, which I think Chair will tie up with the comments you made around infrastructure development. So if I may start, Chair, in some of these issues, as I indicated, I will not be spending a lot of time, but our vision really doesn't change, that we do need to remain and become the backbone of the public transport industry, and that we need to do so by providing safe, reliable and affordable commuter rail, long-haul passenger rail, as well as interbus services. We've got a number of values and we've not changed those, but I think I do have to say at this stage that I think quite a lot of these would have been compromised over the years. And we, in terms of instilling and ensuring that our governance systems are in place, would like to resuscitate and ensure that these values are adhered to. In terms of our mandate, just as to restate, main objective of PRASA is to ensure that we, through the Department of Transport, we supply rail commuter services from and within the Republic, in the public interest, and that speaks to long-haul passenger rail as well as bus services, as per the National Land Transport Act as amended. And the secondary objective for PRASA is that we need to generate income from utilizing our assets, and this really applies to our station infrastructure and properties that are in the name of PRASA that could generate income or supplementary income for the entity. And just in terms of how we've linked, we've considered the National Development Plan and the role that we need to be playing in providing a suitable public transport solution. And we see the National Development Plan impacting on us through a number of areas. Those include increasing investment in public transport, ensuring that we resolve existing public transport policy issues, developing transport management, providing incentives for public transport use, and renewing commuter train fleet and property development. So those are areas that impact on us that are in the National Development Plan, and we look therefore to contribute to the NDP through issues around employment, looking at the environment, ensuring that the externalities are reduced. And I think one would know that the carbon footprint of rail compared to other modes is generally low. Looking at how we integrate into the transport system, as well as issues around education, ensuring that we develop learners in various fields that relate to the work that we do. In terms of the MTSF, the medium-term strategy framework, the priorities that are key to us, priority one, that focuses on economic transformation, job creation, ensuring that we provide access to job opportunities, job creation that is dependent on contracts that flow from the capital program, very key. The rolling stock fleet renewal program and resignaling programs. And so when we talk of the budget, the capital budget that we have, and the billions that PRASA is able to receive from national government, largely they're directed towards these areas. Then priority two, education, skills and health, looking at training programs for customer services, security and trade operations. And a lot of this, I think, would have suffered over the period, the past few years, due to all the challenges that the organization has had. But nonetheless, that's a key focus. And then priority four, spatial integration, human settlements and local government. And we do know the role that public transport in particular can play in terms of integrating our spaces. And then priority six, looking at a capable, ethical and developmental state, also within the capital program and modernization streams, So I think the capable, ethical, and developing state becomes important, and all the issues that the minister was indicating around, the corruption that has been taking place within the organization would then signal that we've really not been playing our role as PRASA over the past few years, in terms of contributing to this priority. So we need to restore, in this regard, our commuter rail services, which have declined substantially over the past 5 years, as well as the long-haul passenger transport, and then also ensuring that we establish a functional, efficient, integrated organization. Now, moving to how we've structured, our corporate plan. So the two goals that we aligned to this MTSF for the priorities that I've outlined. The one goal is rail and passenger transport that works, and we'll elaborate on the areas under this. So we're looking at rail and bus transport that is safe, affordable, and reliable through, divisions, metro rail, which also includes, or at least in line with that, you've got MLPS, which is mainline passenger services, and autopax on the bus side. Through maintaining, modernizing the rolling stock, bus fleet infrastructure, facilities, stations, and security, which, again, at the risk of overemphasizing, the decline has been quite palpable over the past few years. But also, the second goal is developing a capable organization that now speaks to an organization that does business ethically and efficiently, placing commuters and passengers on top of the agenda, and is financially sound. They will elaborate on these as we go through. So the two goals have got strategy objectives that are aligned to them, and these are aligned to also the program that I have, and the minister did also touch on these. So the first goal, rail and bus transport that works. Three objectives that are linked to that. The one is service recovery, ensuring that we recover the service, ensure that it's reliable, it's safe, it's predictable. Then the second objective there speaks to safety and security, securing the national assets that we have, being our rolling stock, as well as our infrastructure, rail infrastructure in terms of perils, OHT, as well as the stations, but also the safety of our commuters and customers, as well as the safety of our employees becomes equally important. Then the third objective there is a capital program and modernization, excuse me, ensuring that we roll out our program and modernize, the service that we provide. The link to then the capable organization, we talk about governance, ensuring that we reinstill and bring proper governance into the organization in order for us to be able to, execute in a much more ethical manner in the way that we do things. The other objective on the capable organization is that revenue enhancement and cost containment, which is also key, ensuring that we are able to get back, and increase our revenue through, fares from the rail and bus side, but at the same time, like any other prudent business, ensure that we manage our costs. Over the years, the costs have really increased the organization whilst revenue has declined. That needs to be flipped. It should be the other way around, with the high revenue and contained costs. So it's just not moving on my side. So my slides are stuck, I'm not sure. There we go. Okay, then on the strategic objective, rail and bus transport that works, is just to give some detail there, and I'm not going to spend too much time focused on metro rail service and a number of sub-programs that make that up, like rolling stock, infrastructure stations, recovery of the two lines. Mainline passenger services, looking at locomotives, got challenges there, the fleet, and then also the interface we have with Transnet. And then autopax, the growth strategy, we've got a short-term turnaround strategy that we've worked out, as well as the bus fleet. So some of the indicators that we've got that we are tracking, with regards to the service recovery, would speak to the recovery of the 2 lines, train sets that are available by year-end, train set configuration, train trips that are scheduled, percentage of Metro Rail operated trains on time at the end of the year, train trips scheduled as well as bus trips. So those are the indicators that we're looking at, Chair and members, that we've set out over the period. And then the safety and security management, we're looking at improving safety management in line with the railway safety regulator requirements. Security of PRASA asset base, which I've spoken to, and then also implementing security interventions. And there are a number of programs around safety management and security management that would assist us move in that direction. Some of the indicators here, we're looking at the number of occurrences, rail occurrences reported to the railway safety regulator. We're looking at conditions set by the RSR in terms of permit, in terms of the permit that are closed, directives issued by RSR for completion in this financial year, and the years that follow, and the number of occurrences as well that report to the RSR. In terms of the capital program, Chair, in modernization acceleration, here we're looking at developing a capital implementation process and also implementing to accelerate service recovery and delivery through the modernization of our rail system. Again, a number of programs here, capacitation of the CAPEX program, ensuring that we've got capacity to deliver, which has been a big challenge. Modernizing our corridors, very little work has been done to give the customers a relatively modern experience as they utilize our services. The rolling stock fleet renewal program, key, but has been delayed as well to a number of challenges from a supply chain management point of view over the past year, and then signaling and then properties and stations key as part of that. So some of the indicators on the capital program, we look at capital spend in terms of billions per annum, how much of that we're able to spend. Rolling stock fleet renewal program, number of new trains that will be provisionally accepted per annum. These are the blue trains that we are receiving and through the Gibela contract. Signaling commissions completed per contract. Then the general overhaul of GO program of Metro Rail coaches completed. The delay I was talking to here is as a result of a non-award last year of this program, so we're getting this back on track. It has a detrimental impact in terms of the services that we offer through the number of sets that we have that are serviceable. And then general overhaul for mainland passengers services that is completed. We also track that, and also that has been impacted on by the non-award. Then with regards to capable organization, we're looking at revenue enhancement and cost containment, where key is reviewing the organizational design and business model, which has been very inefficient, addressing revenue protection and generation for commuter and passenger transport, and also the properties and assets that I spoke to earlier, to ensure a sustainable organization that is financially sound, which by all accounts, it has been clear and will demonstrate that the situation that PRASA was really, heading, for a head. Sorry, Chair, I was just getting some interference there. So the key issues there is driving revenue enhancement and the initiatives that speak to that, as well as cost containment, and we'll talk to that later. Some of the indicators here, the revenue that will generate over the period, that is the medium term, and then the expenditure. This slide is, would also be misleading, because we are re-looking at our cost base, and I'll talk to that in terms of exposure later on. Around a capable organization, Chair and members, we need to address, there's a number of audit findings that have been picked up at PRASA over the years, in particular the repeat findings. So we're looking at those, and we've set up systems, and I'll talk to that. Ensure effective consequence management, very key. I think the derailed report dates as far back as 2015 or so, 16. We're sitting in 2020, and quite a number of those recommendations are still outstanding, and we are working on ensuring that those see the light of day. Establish and improve policies. One has found quite a deficient system in terms of the policy environment, so that's key in terms of ensuring that we move forward systems and processes, ensure effective enterprise-wide risk management. Even a situation like COVID-19, no one would have predicted it, but I think the risk management that organizations would have put in place would have at least played a role. I think we were just in the process of working on those, but it has hit hard. Improve and streamline the procurement processes. Supply chain has been a major problem in the organization, and it delays a lot of projects, hence some of the challenges. Ensure governance structures are in line with legal and business imperatives. Insurance cover divisionalization of PRASA subsidiaries, and we'll give an update on this as these projects are on the go. So indicator here, looking at Auditor General audit opinion, from a disclaimer, we would like to move to an unqualified audit, and further on to a clean audit. So we need to reduce the repeat findings in particular. So this just indicates how, all what I've indicated in terms of the goals and the objectives and the sub-programs under them, how those all, tie in and fit together. So on the economic transformation, job creation, we contribute to the economy through job creation within the capital and modernization program. That's key. So we need to ensure that we create jobs, benefits, and also the rolling stock fleet renewal program, risk signaling. That's key, and the cooperatives that are in place, in particular around the stations, assisting with station cleaning and so forth. So we're looking at jobs here from the rolling stock fleet renewal program. How much of those we would be generating over the medium term, and also within other projects within PRASA. So economic transformation still this priority. We're looking at contributing with regards to training programs, skills focus areas around customer operations, training operations, product and services. However, I must also indicate that whilst these are on our plans, there are challenges that we are experiencing due to financial situation. So these are hampered a bit, as opposed to the ambitious plans we had in terms of the numbers that we would have liked to register here. Internships and learnerships, as well as bursaries. And then on the procurement side, we're looking at contract expenditure, but through contract procurement, we've got a target there, we've got 80%. Then triple BE compliance spend as a percentage of identified operational spend per annum. That's one of the indicators. We're looking at the QSE's target, that is qualifying small enterprises, as well as also exempt micro enterprises. We've got a target spend, Black-owned companies, Black women-owned and enterprise and supply development. Now, Chair, if I can turn to the mandate, and again, I will try and be as swift as possible. There are 9 areas that the Minister has specifically requested upon my appointment to focus on, and that informs a lot of the work that we're doing. So, and these also have informed the corporate plan that I've just taken the committee through. So in no particular order, though, I'll just touch on these, addressing all matters related to the AG's findings as well as repeat findings. That's one. Improving operational performance in the company, that's another mandate area. And then also expediting the implementation of the modernization program. That speaks to areas such as fencing, signaling, payroll and station upgrades, security interventions across all corridors. Key, we've had challenges in the area. And then 5, looking at the organizational design and business model. We'll give an update on that as well. Very key. Then 6, develop capacity to manage our capital program. Over the years, the capacity in the organization has been depleted, and therefore you lack very critical technical skills, that can oversee these projects. These are complex projects and therefore require requisite capacity in order for them to be implemented adequately. 7, capacity to support interventions aimed at recovering the system by ensuring that we have supplier panels through competitive bidding and so forth. That really speaks to the supply chain. Areas attend to issues that require engagement with Transnet in order to unblock blockages. We'll give an update also on that. And then 9, which is the last of the 9 mandate areas, ensure effective consequence management, provide support to investigations currently underway by law enforcement authorities. And again here, Chair will be able to just update. So the way that this is structured is that, and you'll see that there's a thread that goes through this, the way that we're approaching it. So there are 9 areas that I've just indicated. Those are on the left side of that slide, at least of the table. And then these are linked to the various objectives that I mentioned earlier in the corporate plan. But, these also then are how we are dealing with all these matters, the 5 key areas, which happen to form the subcommittees of EXCO, which I'll touch on. Now, I'm not going to go back and emphasize, I think the Minister has indicated that the brokenness of the organization, systematic erosion, and how we are looking to stabilize. There are a number of elements that lead to that have happened over the years that relate to instability at management level, decisions that have been taken that are questionable, no consequence management and record keeping, backup systems that don't exist, operating systems that are not fully deployed. There's quite a number of them that have led to where we are, and I don't want to spend time on the chair. So what are the immediate measures that we've taken to bring the semblance of order in the organization? I think it's important for us to bring it to the attention of the committee. I think we're registering steady progress, but there remains quite a lot of work that we still need to do, and I'll demonstrate this. We've taken a few key actions. I would have looked at to ensure that we set the foundations for stability. We've set up a robust infrastructure that meets every 2 weeks. This has been happening since January of this year. This EXCO is supported by 5 subcommittees, and these meet also on a bi-weekly basis in order to feed into the EXCO agenda. Then you'll note, Chair and members, that the progress update is structured along these subcommittees, which happen to be those 5 objectives that we indicated in the corporate plan outline. So I raise these, Chair, because it's fundamental that it's a fundamental requirement rather for instilling proper governance at PRASA, which didn't exist, as we know, which for all intents and purposes I think has been compromised. I've now bolstered the Office of the Administrator as well. The Minister has touched on this by appointing a team of seasoned technical advisors, and these professionals hail from government departments, a state institution, which is a CSR, and industry. And there's the list of those, which I'm not, for the benefit of time, shall we not go through all of them, but they cover the areas of finance, supply chain management, Minister spoke to it, legal advisory, secondment from the Department of Transport, stakeholder management, communication, business performance, rail and bus operations, CSR supporting us there, and then technical and engineering. So these have strengthened EXCO capacity as there were quite a number of deficiencies. Now, some of the other measures that should be of interest, we've triggered a number of key partnerships which seek to build strong operational relationships with other entities of state that we interface with. And just some of the ones we can highlight here are the following: Transnet. There's been a number of unresolved issues. We note in the Minister's 9-point mandate that he's given me, this is one of the issues. So since the separation, of passenger service from Transnet, this has had a detrimental effect for both parties. So recently, I think the CEO of Transnet and I met, and we've set up a number of work streams that are focusing on mutually agreed business critical items. So this is going to strengthen the operational issues between, the two entities that will benefit, our customers as well as African public in general. In ESCOM, we know the role that it plays and the number of common areas that we have, for instance, issues such as cable theft. So we've agreed on common areas. The CEO of ESCOM and I have met, and we've agreed to work together to set up a number of work streams and that will enhance our synergies. The South African Police Service, our security capability, the issues that we've had there in the past and we continue to have today. So we've engaged with SAPS. We have been engaging for a while, with the purpose of strengthening our relationship as per the MOU that we entered into with them in 2019. So they will be a force multiplier in our environment through some special operations, and also to emphasize that the PRASA rail transportation infrastructure that serves as an enabler to various economic sectors. So it goes without saying that in all our it is in all our interest to protect these assets and keep the criminals away from them. Then some of the key measures taken were moved to institute consequence management on a number of matters cited in various investigation reports at PRASA, and this of course doesn't sit well with a lot of these colleagues or former colleagues that would have been cited. To this end, we've suspended 12 senior managers. We will be undergoing disciplinary action. We've had some delays, I must say, with the COVID, but in terms of taking the processes further, but these will speed up now that there are some relaxations. So where instances of possible corruption are picked up, these will be handed over to the National Prosecuting Authority. And the number of matters that are being processed by ourselves, the SIU, as well as the Directorate for Prior to Crime Investigations, which is the Hawks. And with the number of vacancies that one found at executive level that have been there for a while, these are now majority of them have been filled. So we've undertaken a fairly rigorous process over the past 2 months, I would say, in identifying suitable candidates, and I'm pleased to inform the committee on the appointments that I think the Minister has already indicated on PRASA Rail, CEO Nosipho Damasane, Tech CEO Hisham Emran, and then Autopex, Rush, Chief Information Officer David Mpelo, and Company Secretary Sandile Zani. These will be joining us very soon, and this should make a big difference in terms of stability at that level. And thanking also the colleagues that have held the fort in those areas during these difficult times. Chair, I think it's important to bring to attention of the committee just that over the past 10 years, I think we've seen a steady and sharp decline in fare revenue. The Minister did also allude to it, which has necessitated an increase in the operating subsidy. On the other hand, expenses have increased unabated. So if you look at if you see the graph, at least that we presented below, you can see how the income has not really moved at pace, but expenditure has grown. But in particular, the gap between income and expenditure, with expenditure being above income, and it just shows that the organization was always leading and moving towards a crunch, which is what I then begin to elaborate in the next slides. So we've been constrained. We are constrained with long outstanding debt of 6.3 billion, consisting of Transnet that we owe about 1.8 billion, and other creditors about 4.5 billion. So when there are outcries about PRASA not being able to pay suppliers, that's the amount that has been owed, and that we've had to inherit for a variety of services. So given the historic inefficiencies and current operating conditions, we're also considering VSPs at a very early stage of these conversations, but this is estimated that it will cost the company about 1.1 billion. So it's part of a 3-year plan to achieve a break-even budget, and despite budget rationalization process, the following budget deficits remain unfunded. We'll have budget deficit for 2021 will be 0.9 billion, and for 2022, 0.5. Total commitment is for 8.8 billion. Now, the National Treasury DOT have approved a capex conversion of just over 400 million in May 2020. Therefore, the remaining unfunded commitment is 8.4 billion from the 8.8 that I mentioned earlier. So, subject to NT, National Treasury and DOT approval processes, potential funding source would be as follows. We would look at signaling earmarked unspent capex at 3.7 billion and the rolling stock fleet renewal at 4.7. But those are discussions that still have to take place, but it's just to give an indication of the total exposure that PRASA has, and these are quite key in terms of one giving an indication of the challenges, that even the turnaround plan has, even though, we do have the plans, but, we obviously need to be able to have the money. So we're earnestly working on arresting and thus seeking to reverse the situation. So as we work on these initiatives aimed at improving revenue over time, it is of primary importance that we reduce unnecessary costs. And we're looking at a variety of cost items and that we've listed, like overtime allowances, fleet usage, fuel maintenance, and a variety of others. So we're looking at all the cost items. It's not just about the VSPs, but that's just but one element, because we have to rationalize our cost base. And then lastly, I think it's an issue that there's been and it's become an accepted practice in the organization to budget for a deficit. We are working on changing this so that PRASA can be able to have a funded budget that is not deficit based, so that we can create a sustainable business model. Chair and members, and I'll just turn to the areas of focus in terms of the turnaround, which is timed over the 12-month period. Minister mentioned that this is an intervention, so we've approached it as such. The first 3 months I titled Stability and Order in the organization, ensuring that we instill the proper systems and processes. The 6-month period from January to June would look at ensuring that we accelerate execution of projects. We've had some delays with COVID, but nonetheless, that is a theme. And then ensuring that over the 12-month period, we commission what we would have begun to do. We create business continuity and then hand over to the ministers a business that is sustainable and that will never be the same and recognizable from its troubled past. So we've got the priority programs, Chair. It's quite a lot of detail, but as I promised, I'll try not to go into the detail, but it's important just to give the committee a flavor of it, that over the 3 months, we said on the service recovery side, and this is the service recovery subcommittee is responsible for driving the implementation, issues around accelerating interventions in terms of the turnaround. So the structure is the same. So the table here shows the turnaround plan area on the left, in the middle we've got the key program, and then the status on the right. So around relating to accelerating interventions aimed at improving service recovery, then we say that delivery of the key components, key program, we've received some components, particularly in the Gauteng region, but we'll be advertising a more comprehensive tender come June, which is a month in now. Rolling stock renewal program, 5 to 6 trains, provision accepted. These are the blue trains that are coming from the Gibela factory. So 4 new trains have been provision accepted from the local factory during that early period. And developing a passenger service charter, this is very key. Last time PRASA had a charter was in 2013. We've updated this charter as we speak. We're now finalizing the implementation framework and also ensuring that because this then impacts on the timetable, because this is what we put forward to our committees, at least the pledge in terms of what we promised to deliver. So this has been approved by ESCO. We're now beginning to roll that out. Very, very important for a transport operation. And then issues that require engagement in transit, I've spoken to this. We've got the work streams that we've set up, and these are meeting, and there should be a lot of traction in that area. Then the business organizational design, as well as the business model. Here we're looking at the new operating model and organization structure. This is key because the operating model structure and organizational structure at PRASA have been very inefficient. Plays a key role in terms of where the organization is at. So this process is underway. We put together an internal team. We didn't appoint any consultants, it's worth mentioning. So we seconded internal colleagues to work on this, led by an internal colleague to lead the process. And this is ongoing, almost complete. But it confirms a lot of these inefficiencies, and we've received the final, the preliminary recommendations, and we've made some comments, and that will be finalized, and that will impact greatly in terms of restructuring the organization, ensuring that it is better structured to deliver on its mandate. Then on the capital program implementation acceleration, which is still within the 3 months, here we said we would like to expedite implementation of the modernization program as indicated by the 9-point mandate. Here, then the key programs that would have been are the national station upgrades in Cape Town, tunnel installation, parade concourse. It's delayed, however, the project is 69% complete. So we're looking at a completion date around November. Then the EPMO, Enterprise Program Management Office, key for the delivery of the huge capital program. We found this, at least I found it to be fairly deficient when I arrived. So we've moved to develop a plan here. I've appointed one of the internal colleagues to lead this. And it has been developed, a plan has been developed and approved by Expo. It's now being rolled out, and will ensure close monitoring on project delivery, of the huge capital program. Then security, we had indicated that would source uniform clothing for personnel. This is underway. Specifications have been compiled. There's been a delay in preparation for the tender advertisement, but this should be completed, fairly soon, so that our security personnel have a uniform apparel, put it that way, because some didn't have uniform, and therefore it would be even difficult to recognize them on the platforms and on our tracks. Then also developing of a security strategy. The security strategy aimed at an integrated security management has been developed, in the organization, and Exco, has processed it. I've also appointed a Brigadier General to lead and stabilize the security department. Then in the governance issues, governance subcommittee, within the 3 months, we said we'll update all policies. There is a number of policies that we've developed and approved at Expo. This has been one of the most hectic areas due to the deficiency, as indicated, supply chain management policy fraud and corruption prevention policy fraud, and prevention plan, audit, lifestyle and audit, ethics, human factors. So these are just some of the policies that we've had to approve, because it then also becomes important for the things that we need to do to base them on these updated policies in the organization that doesn't have these the risks quite a lot. So the review of policies and the identification of gaps continues, but I think we've managed to update quite a number of these, and actually to come up even with those policies that were not available. And then controls, implementing of controls through activation of dominant SAP modules. This process is underway. We've got a SAP, which is this IT system that we use, and we're looking to activate all these modules and create a stable IT system, which is the basis upon which we can do a lot of things. Track and attend to audit findings, in particular repeat findings. I've approved for implementation a fundamental structural intervention that reports to my office that will ensure management responses to audit findings as the audit period is about to start. These are dealt with as part of the root cause analysis, a complete in terms of key control points applied against a standardized internal control framework, identify accountable executives and process owners aligned to performance and consequence management, and also to undergo quality assurance process. This is very important, particularly given where we're coming from with a lot of findings, particularly repeat findings. And then also, we said we'd set up a panel of service providers to provide capacity to capital program implementations. Specifications have been compiled, and these should be going out to market fairly soon. Still in governance, and I've already spoken about that area. Then conducting lifestyle audits on all employees in finance, supply chain, and the top 300 of PRASA employees. 186 names of senior PRASA employees have been provided to SSA that is the State Security Agency, for vetting, which include lifestyle audits. This was done quite a while back. These comprise, group executives, subsidiary and divisional CEOs, general managers, regional managers, all the way to internal audit. And we also had agreed with the State Security Agency and provided them with office space, and that was before the lockdown, to undertake this exercise. And that includes all executives, starting, with my office and myself, all the way through to the executives, technical advisors, and everyone in the organization. So this is a process that
you have 5 minutes to wrap up. So there are 5 minutes to wrap up. Yeah.
All right, Chair. Thank you.
Thanks.
So I'll just go through the slides. So consequence management, I did allude to it earlier. SIU, working with them as well as the Hawks. There are charges that we've instituted, suspensions. These will take. We should be able to. We should be able to get a lot of traction now that there are relaxations in terms of the CCMA and the Labour Court. Then, Chair, this speaks to the 6-month program, and I'm not going to go into this because we will come back and also give an indication of progress with regards to this. But there are certain areas that we've already would have moved on. We'll provide this update post June, and so I'm not going to just skip through those, Chair, given the time. Corridor Recovery Program, this is important because it was also in the State of the Nation address. We've had to review the program in light of the lockdown, walling program, and increased theft and vandalism. So we've got revised dates. We had initially indicated that we would look at a limited service in around September, October of this year, but this now moves to Feb, March next year. And this applies to both corridors, just as an indication. This just speaks to just the challenges around timeframes that we've had, but nonetheless, the team will continue to work on these, and we should hopefully gain some traction with the relaxation now. Then the financial impact, in terms of the termination of services, we're looking with between April and May, 199 million. We're looking at just over 750 over the period up until March next year, and this we've incorporated into our request to the Treasury. The impact of COVID has been, overall negative for us. It has impacted on project timelines. It has impacted on our revenue, and we will not touch on that further. Chair. Readiness to resume services. At the stage, we're looking at July, but on certain corridors. One in Gauteng, Pietersburg to Pretoria, and then the Southern Line in Cape Town, and then the Eastern Cape. And then we'll look at other corridors also as soon as we're able to move on level 2. The rest of the corridors will then also come on stream. But we've already put in systems, but this is work in progress, and some of it being impacted on by finances, but nonetheless, where we've been able to on these corridors, we are putting the measures and the markings, ensuring that we've got the disinfectants and the sanitizers. So just lastly, the capital program, and Chair, this has not moved over the last few years, so we're looking at unleashing this program. It speaks to depot modernization, depot fencing, general overhaul, rolling stock, signaling, the lines, the 2 lines, recoveries, OHT, refurbishment, pairway, rehabilitation, security program, and corridor walling. And we're looking at injecting about 7 billion into the economy in terms of the projects that would be kicked off this year. Of course, they will carry on into the other years, but that's the amount that would be invested by PRASA, which is counter-cyclical in terms of the challenges that we have, and it should be a welcome boost into the economy that would create the necessary jobs that are required. So, Chair, wrap up at that. Thank you very much to you and the members.
Thank you, Mr. Mpondo, for the job well done. You have clearly outlined the key areas that you'll be focusing on in the annual performance plan, but also ensuring that there is the alignment between what you said and what the minister contained in his political overview. I'll then open the floor for honorable members. We will start. Let's just check with chart. I know that Honorable Matibula has a problem with the network. Let me just bring to the attention of Mr. Mpondo to the questions that are raised in the chat by Honorable Matibula. When you respond, also pay attention to this one. At the end of the questions posed by the members, we will then ask the Committee Secretary just to read this chat questions from Honorable Matibula. Let me start. Honorable Dango. Honorable Dango. Honorable Tim.
I'm covered, Chairperson.
You covered, Honorable Dango.
Thank you, Chair.
Honorable Tim, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Chair. I'm here, but I think I mentioned earlier I'm having a problem with my laptop today. When I turn my camera off on, it creates big problems with the signal. So I apologize to the committee that you cannot see me. You'll have to just imagine me as you know me. All right. Chair, I have just a couple of issues I want to raise, and I'll try to do them very quickly for the attention of Mr. Mpondo and the Minister. The first question is, look, it's common cause that PRASA has a major problem with vandalism and of infrastructure and of rolling stock itself, of cars, etc., etc. So a big concern is why were various security companies not paid in the last quarter or in the last period? Companies like Changing Tides, Kobile, Slanganani, Vonchiri, and Vusi Sizwe Security. Companies like that were not paid. Can we just get a response as to why they were not paid and why are we possibly jeopardizing the security at PRASA by such practices? The other issue I needed to raise is that in the 2019-20 budget year, in quarter 4, 28 billion rand was set aside for the refurbishment and maintenance of rail coaches. But we've noted that none of that has been spent on that, but in fact has been via violence has been spent on settling labour disputes and various court judgments. So the money hasn't gone to the maintenance and refurbishment of those rail coaches. Chair, that's on PRASA. Just two other issues quickly while I have the luxury of the Minister with us. The South African Maritime Safety Association, SAMSA, falls under transport. Now, I know that the Minister, there was a great regulation that allowed all persons who had license or licensing of their vehicles, those licenses, if they expired during the lockdown, would be deemed to be okay for a period of time until they could be relicensed. I've had inquiries from the commercial fishing sector of boats that have their certificate of fitness has expired during the lockdown period. There is a massive backlog. Under level 3, the assessors, the external surveyors and assessors can assess craft, but there is a massive backlog. The question to the Ministry is, can the same extension that was given to motor vehicles, licenses, and roadworthies also be extended to SAMSA as well, so that craft that commercial fishermen use can go out for a period of time until they can get them relicensed, just as we've done with motor vehicles. Chair, then my last point is a bit of a housekeeping point, Chair. The DG, Alec Moyemi, Mr. Moyemi has been engaged with us quite a bit recently. I must just point out, though, my disappointment, though, that I have sent various emails to Mr. Moyemi's email address, directorgeneral@dot.gov.za. They unfortunately bounced back, and I'm told by all my colleagues that this happens with all of them. And also I've sent WhatsApp messages to Mr. Moyemi, and he has not responded. Can we just get a response on that? I think it's vital for everybody on this committee to be able to have an open, free-flowing information channel with at least the Director General of the department so that we can attend to issues that we need to get information on. Chair, thank you very much. I appreciate your indulgence. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Team. Honorable Langsman.
I'm covered, Chair.
Thank you, Honorable Langsman. Honorable Boshoff. Thanks. Honorable Boshoff.
Thank you very much and good evening to everybody. The Minister indicated that he's very worried about the finances of PRASA as they were experiencing a revenue decline due to COVID. Okay, that's all good and well, but I'd like to know what the decline was prior to COVID-19, so that we can just get a feel of the impact that COVID-19 is having. And then I understand that consequent management has been put in place and that 12 senior members have subsequently been suspended. Can we be informed as to when they were suspended, what their transgressions were, and when the disciplinaries will be finalized? And if found guilty, will they be held to account? I read in an article, and then I heard again this evening, that many challenges are being faced by PRASA. And then in the media, I read that voluntary severance packages are being made available to employees of PRASA. Could we be informed to which sector would be provided with these voluntary severance packages? And is PRASA concentrating on a certain age group? And then to add on to what Honourable Bartoseth said with regard to the security companies, could we please be informed as to the outstanding amount that is being owed to these security companies, and will they be put back into operation come 1 July when the metro rails again start functioning? Then I'd also like to know, a team of technical advisors have been appointed. Could this committee be provided with the annual cost to company with regard to the appointment of these advisors? Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Honorable Boshoff. Is Honorable Apleni around? Honorable Khai?
Thank you very much, Honorable Chairperson, for the question. For giving me the opportunity, and also thank to the Minister for the opening remarks, and Mr. Mpondo for the presentation. I think the bit of a problem, Chair, is that we're dealing here with a work in progress, kind of a report. It's difficult to go back to the issues that happened before the administrator was appointed. The fear from our side is that so far there's not much progress. We're just hoping that perhaps before the expiry of the 12 months in which the administrator was allocated to turn around the institution. Perhaps the best way is to again have another meeting so that we can properly monitor all these objectives that the administrator is working on. You know, last time we met with PRASA, with the board, they were very, very excited, the interim board, that they were going to turn around the institution. The they even established, together with the ministry, what they called a war room that was working regularly to turn around the situation. The fear from our side is that we may be excited by the appointment of the administrator, and then we find ourselves in a similar situation where there's no progress, despite the fact that an administrator has been appointed. I know it's an administrator, it's not the board, but as you know, Chair, that even in local government or municipalities, there will be administrators that are appointed. Some succeed, some do not succeed. So I'm saying, therefore, we note some of the areas of progress, in particular the appointment of the executive or the EXCO in PRASA as well as in tech and other areas. We know that progress, but we're looking forward to monitor other areas of progress, particularly the point that is raised by Honorable Boshoff, the suspension of the 12 senior managers. We would like to see progress with regard to that, because it could be that the challenges that PRASA is facing emanate from those senior managers. So the sooner action is taken against them, the better. But also the lifestyle audit, we need a progress when we meet with the administrator in future, Chair, which I think it should be soon. We need progress around those areas of the suspension, because in government you can be suspended for years actually. So we don't want that situation with PRASA, where people are suspended for years. There are no disciplinary processes to finalize it, because this report of the public protector, I mean, some of us have even forgotten about it. I remember it was said that but managers that were involved have not yet been taken to task. So we're looking forward to see progress around those issues, the disciplinary hearings, the issue of the lifestyle audit. But also we're interested to know what progress, perhaps when the administrator comes back, we need a progress with regard to the cases that are being investigated by the Hawks, but also what progress is the NPA doing with regard to ensure that those that are found, are committed offences go to court. So those are the issues. But the other issue I wanted to check, perhaps from the ministry, there are challenges that are being raised with regard to the relationship between PRASA and Transnet. What is the ministry doing with regard to that, engaging with their counterparts in the Department of Public Service, Public Enterprises, so that they assist PRASA so that those issues are resolved. Yeah, no, thanks very much. As I'm indicating that this is a work in progress, kind of a report. We were looking forward to engage further with the PRASA and on the objective that they set themselves, so that we see the progress in terms of their implementation. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Chair, for Chair Khai for the questions. Just from my side, Honourable Minister, I take that all honourable members have spoken, given an opportunity to interact. Is Honourable Apleni part of the meeting? Looks like not. Let's then.
Chairperson.
Yes,
What about the questions from Honorable Matebula on the chat?
Yes, can you read them, Sepega?
Thank you, Chairperson. The first question says whether the department has a plan to address the issue of toilets who are not working in autopacks long distance buses from Johannesburg, Pretoria to Giyani, Polokwane, Malamulele, Limpopo. Second question, whether the department has considered to build infrastructures that will cater for people with disability, especially in buses, in bus stations and train stations. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Sepega. Honorable Minister, maybe just two to three questions from my side. Like as Honorable Khai indicated, we met with the team on the 11th of September 2019 with the interim board, and a number of areas that we raised were put to the team. The key concern, which we are of the view that also need probably just progress with regard to understanding on the capital program, because the understanding led to the transfer to the department approving transfer of 3 billion from PRASA to Sanral, and I believe that it has opened up a gap that has to be attended to, particularly given the crucial role that transport can play, particularly transport infrastructure can play in terms of transforming our economic landscape. We are happy with the progress that has been made with regard to the executive management, the team that the administrator has brought on board. But I think the major issue remains the issue of safety concern, which clearly could be an important aspect with regard to the smooth mobility of train commuters. And you have raised in the presentation that there is one of the concerns that was raised is the number of passengers that are yearly decreasing that we are commuting. So, and definitely the issue of safety concern is one of your priority areas that has to be attended to. But also the with regard to autopacks, what is the progress with regard to the shortage of buses that was raised? Particularly, the concern that we raised was that during festive season and school holidays, there is a fluctuation of prices, and this was identified as one of the inconveniencing aspects to the passengers. And I think it is important that this aspect be clarified in terms of progress that has been made. But of course, we are mindful of the articulation that the administrators raised with regard to what are the measures that they are putting in place to address the operational risk on all the railway lines. But I think the one of the areas that was raised also as a contributing factor to the risk was the manual signaling operating, which continues to be a hazard because it also contributes to the delay in terms of ensuring that we ensure that people get to workplaces, because I think they must not only just get to workplaces, they must get to workplaces on time. And when there are such challenges, it creates a problem to the extent that it has to be flagged as one of the key areas of risk. You have also alluded to the revenue decline that has been part and parcel of the modus operandi for the last decade. I think it is important that we be taken into confidence in terms of measures that we are putting in place to ensure that this matter is arrested. Thank you, Minister. The floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Chairperson and members of the committee. I think the administrator will take a bulk of the questions in relation to the operations as they stand currently at PRASA. On the issue of SAMSA and the boats, we'll attend to that. And I will appreciate that the honorable member can make a follow-up with me, maybe through sending me the details, and we can attend to that situation. I don't see any difficulty why we can't apply the rule that we exonerate or we redeem those who are actually involved and extend the challenges that they are faced with, because I think nobody planned for this situation. So I will appreciate that the honorable member get in touch with me and contact me directly so that we can resolve that particular situation. Besides, I will attend to it with the SAMSA board, and in particular the CEO and the Department of Transport to actually deal with the issue. With regard to the decline of COVID-19 and other issues, I think that will be attended to by the administrator, Mr. Mpondo. The main issue for me really is about the interim board members who are excited about the war room and all of that. We came with the concept of the war room, and we discussed with the board with regard to the operational challenges of the delays of trains and all of that. But quite clearly, honorable members, the less we talk about that board, the better. Unless if there will be action that will be taken against it. I have taken action, and I'm sleeping well with that decision at night, and I'm looking forward. I found PRASA here where it is, and we had to take decisions because I couldn't lament without taking action. I did that even when certain issues and the actions we have taken get to be questioned and so on. I've always said, as the minister, that I'm open. Let's engage with whoever and then talk about issues, but people are not ready to do that. But I came here with corruption that was never challenged over a decade, and the fruitless expenditure that account to billions of rands, and then nothing happened. You are right. We had turnaround strategies here. They cash dust. Interim boards after interim board fight in and out of courts, but everybody had a scent of PRASA. If you can go and get the reports that we get at PRASA through the administrator, where people are claiming billions that they've been owed by PRASA, and when you go and check, it's all irregular. It's all irregular. PRASA doesn't owe them a cent. It's irregular. People were given tenders here like left and right. It was looting like as if a state is falling apart. And this is a broken place. And when we brought Mpondo in and the decisive intervention we made, I was very clear that this situation cannot go unabated. And I put the time frame of 12 months for stability, because I could have easily gone for another board, advertise, have an interim board to act. It's not going to help. That board, when I disposed it and I dealt with it and dismissed it, they had failed to even produce minutes of the board. And I went to Scopa. I stayed there with the deputy minister and everybody else who was there, including some executives of PRASA. They couldn't account. I didn't hear that from the street or as a gossip or a grapevine. I saw it at Scopa myself as a minister, 12 o'clock midnight. They could not account for anything. So that is the situation that we have actually we're facing. The war room was an interim measure which was aimed at ensuring that we deal with the situation at PRASA and so on. We have collapsed the war room to the tasks of the turnaround going forward, because there is no need for many structures. And how do we justify that and all of that? All what we need a board of governance that is going to exercise its fiduciary duties, clean and clear, no manga business, and then we've got management. And Mpondo's mandate is doing exactly that. We're employing fantastic people there who are highly qualified. Come May that they are employing there, I'm quite impressed by what I see and the kind of people they are employing, independent even from me. I see other people are demanding to be consulted about this and that, employment. I, as a minister, am not getting consulted about such. People are recruited and they go through the process, a rigorous process of interviews, and the result is fantastic. I'm happy with what I'm seeing, and I see qualified people who must do the job. And we must not waste time. Like you say, I'm with you. I've been emphasizing the point that the wrongdoers, time is over. They must know the jig is up. It's over. I don't want to come back to you again and lament the fact that wrongdoers, we are not doing anything about them and so on. The bigger challenge, when I conclude, Chair, is the finances at PRASA. I mean, PRASA does not have operational expenditure. And like you say, correctly so, it is depleted. And they had to negotiate for the transfer of part of the CAPEX to alleviate the situation so that this network is back, online, and we fulfill whatever that we want to do. Issues of security and all of that. Now, I said to Mpondo and even informed by the Auditor General's report that we need to cut fruitless expenditure, and then we need to focus on exactly what matters most in terms of the company. And that is why I went for a skillful person who basically understand the terrain of rail from our office, and we seconded him to PRASA. So I'm quite confident we'll turn the corner, and with the support of all of you, we will turn the corner. And where you see something wrong, of course, you've got a mandate to exercise over us, and including PRASA, to hold them accountable, and the new executives and everybody else for the work that they do at PRASA. But the staff has been going on and on there. I'm quite worried about lack of action, which has been held back because of COVID-19 on some of the projects and the interventions that the president have announced. I want the mainland corridor in Cape Town to be back. and then the Mabupani to be back. And I'm quite confident once the ball is rolling, we'll be able to recover those corridors and even replenish others throughout the country. But thank you very much, Chair. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Minister. Stampondo.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you for the questions as well as the comments. Let me then attempt to respond. Honorable Member Team mentioned the problem with vandalism, which we've cited and wanted to understand why the various security companies were not paid. I think it's not just about security companies. I think the figures we've put up there of 4.6 or so billion in terms of creditors, that includes security companies, and it's amounts that have been owed, for the past year or possibly even more. So a lot of those are over 180 days in terms of the age analysis. So we've struggled with these payments, not just of security companies, but other creditors. But to link up to another question, or a similar question in terms of how much, the companies are owed to the tune, I think, the last I checked, of about 160 odd million, which is part of the request that we are making through the DOT to Treasury for the conversion, so that we can get operation, because that's operational expenditure, and we can begin settling, a lot of the debt that we have inherited that we owe. So it really is about that. Then the honourable member raised the issue around the refurbishment of coaches and mentioned the figure and why this has not been done. I alluded to it, and I'll say again. So it's largely the general overhaul program that contributes a big amount to this. And last year, the GO program, the tender that had gone out, resulted in a non-award. So that the delays in the award of the GO contract have had a detrimental impact on us ourselves as PRASA, because then we lose train sets that are not able to go into service, back into service at least, and also the industry, it has had a detrimental impact. So I receive a lot of communication from companies in that space, as well as those that refurbish components due to the non-award of these tenders. So I've instructed the team, to expedite these processes to get them back on track, and I should think, based on the plans that I've received, that tenders should be going out, at least a tender for the GO program this month still, as well as also the various components. But yes, I think so. The reason for non-expenditure relates to primarily the non-award, which therefore means we've missed a cycle in terms of the refurbishment of our coaches, which does create a problem. Then, Honourable Boshoff, you mentioned and acknowledged, of course, that the finances have been known that they're not in a good state. What was the decline pre-COVID? I think one of the slides that I had indicated that does give a sense of the decline, that the deficit that we've had over the years. So you've got about 2 point. I think this year we're looking at, prior to us reviewing the budget now, a deficit of about 2.8 billion. So that would have been the rough estimate, and even in prior years it would be close to that loss of over 2 billion so that decline has been increasing. So what I was demonstrating there is that it has been constantly the gap between your income and expenditure, at least the expenditure above income, that has been increasing into the billions. So what COVID has done for us is to add over and above that, the 750 odd million that I indicated, which is our projection, to the end of the year. With regards to the suspensions, I just need to emphasize maybe here that it's not just suspension. So with the 12 that we mentioned, this happened, I think it would have been around before the lockdown, between towards the end of February and March. 9 of those, it's actually not just suspensions, it's charges. So what had happened is that last year, this SIU was seconded. There was a secondment due to as a result of the proclamation signed by the president, and there was 27 matters that are in that proclamation that were looked into. So what we did, at least what I did with the team in coming in, was to work with the SIU and we are following up. We're still working on the others. So we've charged 9 of these managers based on the various investigation reports that culminated in the secondment of the SIU. So they've been charged based on the work that was done previously, and we will then be facing disciplinary. So it's not just suspensions. The others are suspensions on matters that would have taken place in the various areas, particularly in the technical space, rolling stock, where there are quite a lot of issues there that have emanated. Let me also then hasten to add that there was a question about the Hawks, and it might touch on a question by another member, that the Hawks have, early in May, sent matters, about 16 matters, to the NPA Specialized Commercial Crime Court in Joburg for allocation. And they were then looking at a further 2 matters that would be sent to the NPA Specialized Commercial Crime Court, still in the month of May. So there's a bit of I think traction. It's in terms of those areas. So together with the Hawks and the SIU, we've been working on a tripartite arrangement, and we meet regularly so that we update each other on these matters. And those that, as I indicated, where there could be possible corruption, those will be forwarded to the NPA, like it is happening, with the matters that the Hawks are handling, at PRASA. And then, still on Honorable Bosov, the VSPs, when are these being made available? I think so. So here we're looking at we're at a very early stage. So the communication and the engagements that we've started with organized labor were to say that this is a consideration amongst a whole lot of cost containment measures that we're looking at, and therefore we need to start the conversation. So we're not going for a straight out retrenchment process. We're saying let's consider this, where those that are eligible, can then apply. So we've had one engagement, which was to indicate to organized labor that this is the intention and these are the reasons, but we had indicated that we will have follow-up meetings where we can then present the work that is being undertaken, what the various options are in this regard. And really it's looking at, if I look at a high level, considering, employees between the ages of 40 and 60 in non-critical areas that would be, encouraged to apply. And the preliminary costing thereof, is that 1.1 billion that we've spoken about. But it's a process that we still need to engage and provide detail and various scenarios to organize labor. But the point is that we look at what the organization has gone through. There are certain things that we really need to consider and start working on. Otherwise, we'll end up, relegating the organization, to a very undesirable position. Security companies, and that did indicate how much, they are owed, amongst a whole lot of other, service providers, I must say. And the age analysis doesn't look good. So those over 180 from the bulk of that 4.6 billion, which means that they've been owned for quite a while. And it's very difficult to manage this because operating expenditure is constrained, covers, salaries on a monthly basis barely, and it therefore becomes difficult to extend that as you would in any other business to settle your other debts. So it's a challenge, and we don't think we will not inquire about it. And even when I think in early Jan after I arrived, we did write to all providers to say our situation is dire as it is. Please bear with us. We're working on it. But the constraint is real. But we're hoping that with the engagements that we're having, we can be able to ease that off a bit and then begin, catching up on the payments. The technical advisors, cost to company, I think that information can be provided. But I think what must be noteworthy here is that it's a combination of secondments as well as appointments, and the secondment, so Treasury, that's a secondment. So Mr. William Matebula is an employee of the National Treasury, who's part of my technical advisory team, as well as Mr. Sfiso Smelani, who's an employee of the Department of Transport. And the CSR is on the basis of a cost recovery, and then it's other colleagues that we've then taken from industry, but that information can be provided. But I think it's also important, Chair and members, just to note that coming into the environment, being PRASA, and all colleagues I'm sure would know, with a depleted management capability, being tasked to work on a turnaround. The most important thing in a turnaround, in my experience, is making sure that you have the right people, to do the job. In the absence of that, no systems will work, no processes. So it was important that we were able to strengthen that office, and I dare say that I think some progress has been made. But that information can be provided, Chair. Honorable Khai, I think, made a lot of your comments, which I will mention I don't need to respond to. We will be keen to come back and report, at any other time. We're always available and we'll do so. I think the Minister's touched on the issue of the role. Just to indicate that those out of the 5 areas that I mentioned, in particular the service recovery, safety and security, as well as the capital program and modernization acceleration, those were work streams that existed under the war room. And those have been taken through into the key objectives, and you can see that there's continuity, therefore, in terms of the work that was being done, and that was quite deliberate. I think, I've spoken about the suspensions and what will be happening, what is happening on that front, and there'll be more in terms of charges that need to be preferred. We must still continue to work on those, and we'll update as soon as that happens. Lifestyle audits and vetting, we hope, with the work that we're doing with the State Security Agency, we can show some results. So that's very, very key as well for the organization. I think the cases being investigated by the Hawks have alluded to that, cases that have been forwarded to the MPA. Relationship in PRASA and TRISA, even though I know you pointed it at the Minister, but I did indicate from our side we're getting good cooperation from our trusted colleagues through the process that I'm leading with the CEO at Transnet, and there's about 4 work streams that we have set up, and the colleagues are working on those. And I think the reports that I do get that we're making some progress. And then Matebula, the issues around Autopex and the toilets. Autopex has suffered quite a great deal as well during this period. The buses, not just in terms of the interior toilets and services, but also mechanically, these have not been looked after. We've approved a short-term turnaround plan as EXCO for Autopex, and they've indicated the capital requirement. I think it's just well over 200 million, if I recall. And that will assist in terms of ensuring that the out-of-ex buses, in the short term are fit for purpose, are brought back to service, and that they are, in good working order. So that process is underway, and that would need to start in earnest, Honourable Member. It really is it was an unfortunate situation and we hope that doesn't happen going forward. Universal access in terms of access for people with disability at stations. Here I would have to say that it's something that we're working on, but because the capital program has not been moving at pace, some of these interventions have been delayed, but it's a very key area from a transportation point of view, that of creating universal access. And I think we would be very keen to also provide, particularly through our colleagues from PRASA, a detailed update, even if it is in the form of a write-up later, to give an indication of what our plans are as far as that is concerned. And then, Chair, I think a lot of the issues I would have touched on. Safety, just safe to say that our integrated strategy is looking at, of course, bringing the SAPS on board, beefing up our security, ensuring that we have marshals, that because it will be the key for the COVID period, in terms of the distancing and so forth, that we need to adhere to, that there's adequate crowd control. So we're looking at beefing up that. The plans are firmly in place, but we should see a change soon. In some instances, I must say, whilst we do put our best foot forward, but there are also incidents of organized syndicates that target our network. If you look at the Pinasport Pretoria line, as soon as there was an indication that we could be resuming services, then there was an upsurge in terms of vandalism in that area. But it's an area that we are enlisting the support and working with the SAPS as well in terms of targeting organized crime and commercial crime, so to speak. I think the issue of shortage of buses during the high peak period, I've touched on. It was just symptomatic of the decline. This happened in December, I would imagine. Symptomatic of the decline of the auto-bike service, and that's what I'm alluding to earlier, that short-term turnaround plan that we've approved, which the team has worked on, should inject some better efficiencies into that. And then lastly, Chair, the manual authorization, it's a project or program that we've been working on. There are delays in certain areas. For instance, the central line in the Western Cape in particular, the Gauteng region, and these are largely due to contractual issues with the service providers and others having taken PRASA to court, and also just delays in terms of project implementation. So it's an area that's attracted our attention, and the RSR is also looking at it quite closely. So we are working on trying to resolve that and speeding that up. I think, Chair, the revenue decline would have been a comment that we've touched on, and that then hopefully cover all the areas. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Mr. Mpondo. Honourable members, are there any follow-up questions from honourable members?
Chair, it's Sonia Boshoff here. I put something in the chat. If you could just have a look at that, please.
Right. And you also forgot the question from Honourable Matebula, the one that was read by the committee secretary, Mr. Mpondo.
No, he did respond to it, Chair. The one about the bus. Yeah, but
right.
what I wanted to check from my side, Chair, I I know that as the minister was saying that the challenge at PRASA has been there for years. My concern is that it's not going to be just easy for those who are involved to just allow the situation to go on smoothly, including those that are remaining. They'll make sure that the administrator doesn't succeed. What I wanted to check whether is there any cooperation among those that are currently at PRASA, or are you experiencing any problems in terms of cooperation? Because you will definitely rely on the cooperation for you to succeed. Otherwise, you could be sabotaged, get frustrated, and then the objective that you set for yourself are then not achieved. And then the whole turnaround also becomes a failure. So I just wanted to check from the administrator if he's experiencing any resistance. Yeah.
Thanks. So it will be Honorable Boshoff's question and then also Honorable Khalil. Ambondo?
Chair, Tim?
Yes, Tim?
Chair, may I ask now?
Yes, yes.
Chair, I just wanted to thank the Minister for his willingness to assist me in the query I had earlier. Could I...
Around the interaction with the DG?
No, that is being sorted out relating to the interaction around SAMHSA. The Minister said I could contact him directly, but unfortunately I don't have his number. Can I get it via one of the secretaries or yourself or something, please?
I'll contact the Minister said that his doors are open. Honorable Minister?
I'll contact the Honorable Member.
Great.
Okay, you have my number. Okay.
I'll find you.
Yes, Mr. Bondo. The question from Honorable Boshoff.
Chair, I'm trying to, so that's on the chat, I see. When will PRASA be ready to manage and control risk directives, which is currently being undertaken by RSR? Chair, we're working with the RSR on these directives. I think they've, the one that, in terms of our operating license to start with, which we needed to look into, that was taking us to January this year. We needed to have responded. Then our license, I think, our response to that was accepted, and that our license was then extended. So as we speak, I think our nominated manager and the team are in constant engagement with the RSR around these. And at this stage, the issues that they've raised and some of the challenges, we've been able to, by and large, to deal with them. And those that are still outstanding, are still, within, our control to manage, before the timelines that they've set for us. So I think they haven't raised issues that we don't think that we'll be able to handle, but I think some of the issues around those that are structural in nature would relate to, the authorization or manual authorization that I've spoken to. But, that is an issue that I think we also, are dealing with. The issue around resistance, Honorable Khai, safe to say that without getting into detail, your search has been, as at least is experienced, it is dealt with within the normal labor law provisions, and that one is working, on that where there are areas of resistance and incompetence, we've instituted disciplinary as a result of that. So it's a very important question, and I think it's, in any turnaround you would experience such, and we rely on the provisions, and that I'm working on and sticking to them to the extent possible. And where there are issues that would require us to institute, not just disciplinary, but looking at even the employment contracts, Chair, that we are working on and instituting, and we will also be able to make announcements on some of these in due course. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Mr. Mpondo. Honorable members, I think we have exhausted our platform, given the opportunity that we gave to the members to have a second bite, and indeed you embrace that invite. I think the starting point is to say to the minister that we have heard you as a select committee in terms of where are you intending to take this entity PRASA to. We have heard the main objectives of PRASA as outlined and set out in the political overview of the minister and buttressed by the administrator, and you highlighted them as the as key to your programs to ensure that at the request of the department, rail services are provided within, to and from the Republic in the public interest, and that in consultation with the department, we must provide a long-haul passenger rail and bus service within, to and from South Africa. And the second objective and the secondary business of PRASA, as we have heard correctly, is to generate income from the exploitation of the asset acquired by PRASA. And a number of areas were raised that will be our focus, particularly around the subsidiaries of PRASA. You have highlighted them as Metro Rail, as mainland passenger service, Autopads, Intersat, and PRASA Crest. And of course, I think what the minister has also indicated was to outline and take us into confidence in terms of the situation within which PRASA is operating, particularly paying visit to the issues that PRASA has confronted in the last decade, which prompted the minister to respond in December 2019. And we have correctly understood you, Honorable Minister, that it was important that because of the challenges around irregular, fruitless and wasteful expenditure, such intervention was necessary. And you have outlined the task to the minister. What is the expectation that the department expects from him? And therefore, I think, as Honorable Khai has indicated, our interaction with the department and PRASA will be an expectation in terms of progress made around those key priorities that the minister has set for the administrator as his key areas of focus. I won't go through those areas, but I think what is key is that the minister's key concern is that all matters raised in the Aegis report must be addressed, and that there is a need to ensure that we accelerate interventions aimed at improving operational performance. There is a need to ensure that we expedite the implementation of the modernization program with priority focus on fancy signaling, highway and station upgrades. then there is a need to ensure that security interventions across all corridors is addressed. And then there is a need to ensure that capacity at the executive level is indeed built. And that there is a need also to ensure that areas of concern that the team had with sister entities like Transnet and ESCOM is indeed addressed. But I think what is critical also is that the administrator has drawn a three-phased approach. And therefore, the expectation is that with that three-phased approach, the minister and the team will be able to report to us when engaged with them in terms of how far we are in terms of ensuring that a new operational model and organizational structure at PRASA is finalized. We have started on a good footing in terms of ensuring that there is stability at the technical team that has been assembled through secondment and also through appointment. But I think what is key, also what impresses us as a committee is that vetting has taken place, and that there is commitment to also conducting of lifestyle audit has occurred with regard to those that were recruited. I think those are the key point. But more than that, I think consequence management is an area that we expect. So therefore, it is important that as you engage with us, administrator, because we can clearly see what are the achievements that has been made in the last 3 months. Of course, as you were hitting the ground running, then came in COVID. But I think what is critical is that our interaction at the level of the executive phase, which is scheduled until June 2020, you said you'll pay attention to implementing cashless ticketing and automatic fare collection, renegotiating ESCOM tariffs, implementing an employee recognition program, rehabilitating key corridors such as the Central Line in the Western Cape and Mabopane, and integrating PRASA's rail and bus service. This is our ticket through which, as a select committee, Honorable Minister, will be interfacing with regard to the work that has been presented today. So we are happy as the committee that you were able to take us into confidence in terms of articulating to us what are the areas of focus through which, in terms of when we interact as the select committee and the department and PRASA will be doing. So therefore, with those few words, Honorable Minister and Honorable Members, let me take this opportunity to express our gratitude to the team led by the Minister, the Deputy Minister, Mr. Mpondo and your team, Honorable Members, our Committee Secretary and the researchers, and other stakeholders, the media. Thank you. The meeting is now adjourned. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Long live the chair. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Minister.
Thank you, Minister. Yeah. Nice.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you, Minister.
Thank you.